I had a friend named Ben. Ben was born in Israel. And if you needed to find a profile of someone who had every excuse in the book to not achieve, to not make it, dare I say not even continue as a Jew, this was Ben. Ben basically never knew his father. His father passed away when he was 1 year old. He was raised by his mother and by his brother, who was 7 years older than him. Ben, as a young child, was labeled as having learning disabilities. And when his family came back to Israel and moved to the Boston area, and the school that he was put into, children with learning disabilities were all lumped together. So he was, from first through third grade, was in classes with children with Down syndrome, with children with severe autism. And somehow Ben made it through elementary school, eventually went to high school through his brother's perseverance. He decided to go to yeshiva in Rochester, New York for high school. After yeshiva, his career was as challenging as his childhood. He would have one job, he would have success, the company would go under, he would move to another job, he would be successful, they would have shady business dealings, he would have to leave for something else, and he went from company to company to company, somewhere along the line marrying a wonderful woman who saw the determination in this man to make it and to stand up to adversity whenever it came its way. Eventually, Ben built his own company from scratch. A company where they built websites, e-commerce websites for Fortune 500 companies with much success. Ben became a true asket, as we would say in Hebrew, a pillar of his community. He became successful, he became financially successful, but he saw his success as a conduit for chesed, for kindness, and for tzedakah, and for charity, and to be able to give to others. And even in his business, he sought to hire people who maybe couldn't get a job anywhere else, and to give them a chance, and to bring them under his wing. And this was the life that Ben lived. Ben built a beautiful family with 7 beautiful children. And then one day in the community, there was a child whose mother had ALS. The father couldn't take care of the child anymore. Ben and his wife adopted this child and brought the child into their home, because that's how Ben was. When Ben would visit a school and he liked what the school was doing, he became a supporter of the school. There was a family in Ben's community where there was a terrible accident. The kids were in the hospital for a long time. Ben gave the family whatever they needed to get back on their feet. He provided for the parents so they could be there with their children through all the rehab, because that's the type of guy that Ben was. A few weeks ago, Ben was flying back from New York from paying a Shiva call. Ben was a pilot. He was flying back with a friend who was another pilot. And their single-engine plane, shortly after taking off from JFK Airport, failed. And it was clear that the end was near. As the plane was going down, Ben pulled out his phone, thinking he was texting his wife, ended up texting the entire Cleveland Jewish community with the following text messages. I love you and the kids. I am sorry for everything I've done. We lost engines. Call and have the community say Tehillim, say Psalms. A few hours later, the plane was found, and neither Ben nor his co-pilot, Baruch, survived the crash. At the funeral, which literally brought my community, the Cleveland community, to its knees, Ben's funeral, the family's Rav Alexander Chalab, told the story of the family, told the story of Ben, how I described it to you, how Ben had every reason not to be where he was in life. And he turned to the children and he said, and now you, as your father's greatest legacy, you can do exactly what he did. You've just been knocked down in a major way. And now you can be just like your father and get up and be stronger. So as Ben's friend, I realize that we all have the opportunity to be like Ben. We all have challenges in our lives that we feel like we're not going to be able to get through it. We're not going to be able to go to the next step. We're not going to be able to get up again. But for those of us who were close with and loved Ben, we now all have that challenge to be like Ben. Heinam kilavi yakum ukari yisnasa. Because we are part of the nation that like a lioness gets up and like a lion always rises.